Okay, we are going to, since it is 4:35, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. So I'm just going to give folks a chance to go around the room and tell us who you are. And we'll start with the city side because they have the majority of the people.
Yeah, I'm TJ Plant, cap over the city of Springfield.
Tim Allen, City Council, Ward 7.
And on the Finance Committee, thank you.
Yeah, Board of Assessors here.
What's your name in the back? In the blue?
Matthew Fontaine.
Oh, hi, Matthew. I can't see. I really cannot see you guys' face, so I'm just going by voice. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Claus.
Jessica Guerra, Board of Assessors.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Tracy.
Patrick Greenhall, Chair of the Board of Assessors.
Hello. I see Pat in the corner. It looks like the corner to me.
Pat Burr, City Comptroller.
Hi, Pat. Thank you all for coming. Freddie said he didn't get an email, so I'll send that to him, but we'll go around the room. We'll start with Ruth Ann Hamilton Stutz, go to Diana, because they're both on the committee to set the tax rate, and then we'll go around the rest of the room from there.
Ruth Ann Stutz, resident from the Upper Hill.
Thank you. Diana.
I'm Diana Zinel. I'm president of the Springfield Regional Chamber.
Yay. Diana. Peter.
Pete Signator, Assistant Collector.
All right, then we got Focus on, who is our wonderful city council staff. Aaron Hand.
Aaron, Senior Financial Analyst in Finance,
Hi,
City Hall.
And I know I get this name wrong, so I'm gonna say Ms. Hanlon, because I know I pronounced your first name incorrect the last time.
No problem. Kira Hanlon, a City of Springfield budget analyst.
Kara, because I want to say Sierra every time, but it's Kara. Okay. Thank you, Kara. And then Richie.
Richie Allen, private citizen, 94 Pondview Drive.
All right. And we're glad that you came, private citizen. And then we have Paul from media and Sean.
Sean Pham, Senior Budget Analyst.
Hi, Sean. Thank you. And then we have Jay Snowden from the Republican, Councilor Hurst.
Justin Hurst, Springfield City Councilor.
Thank you. And then Wilfredo Lopez. Freddie.
Hi, Freddie Lopez, 111 Wollaston Street, Springfield, resident, member of the tax committee for a few years now. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely glad to have all of you here. So we're going to go over the tax rate factor that sets the tax rate, right? Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So we are going to turn it over to you and at the city and let you all present.
Sure. So I'll just start off with, this committee is designed to review the residential tax factor and essentially make a recommendation to the full city council for a tax factor vote. So with that, I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to try to share.
Okay.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So yeah, so the role of essentially the city council and this committee is to adopt a residential factor. And essentially the residential factor does set the tax burden that is to be borne by each class of property. So the residential and the commercial, industrial, and personal property. For fiscal 2023, we are looking at what is the physical status of a property as of June 30th of 2022, with the full and fair cash value as of January 1st of 2022. And for residential properties, we're looking at market sales. So considering the assessment date is January 1st, we're looking at generally calendar 20 and 21 sales. For commercial properties, we do use an income approach to value. This shows us the total taxable value over the last few years, and of note, we are over $11 billion for fiscal 23. I would also highlight on this slide, you'll see that the red and green represents the commercial, industrial, personal property, and it hasn't appreciated anywhere near as much as the residential market has, which is indicated in the blue on the chart. This shows our total tax levy, and we had a fair number of years where we were at our levy ceiling, which is the most amount a community can levy. And because of the overwhelming growth in the residential market, we are moving away from that levy ceiling, which is good news for the city of Springfield. This just shows the market shift, as you're probably all aware.
Sorry, Patrick, I have to ask questions as the screen is up because I'm not going to remember. Can you go back to one screen? So in 2019, we were at our ceiling
Correct.
of 200,000. So that is the most that we could get in property tax.
That's right.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
And then in 2020, our ceiling raised just a little bit based
Yes.
on the values, right?
That's correct.
Okay, same thing happened in 2021. Values went up, levy ceiling goes up. 2022, values go up, levy ceilings go up. And then values went up considerably in 2023. And that's mostly due to residential tax values increasing.
Right. So I'm going to go back to this slide, and this will actually show you the residential value for the and compares that to the commercial, industrial, personal property value. So this is just kind of how it's been over the last couple of years.
So there was no value increase in the commercial from 22 to 23?
There is actually a slight one, so I'll have to check that that number. So thank you for pointing that out. I'll definitely double check it before I send it out to everyone tomorrow.
And then the value, wow, the value increased that much on the residential side. Is that any due to new growth, or you didn't get to that yet?
We haven't got to new growth yet, but no, this is really appreciation in the market.
Wow.
Which is approximately 16%. And how we get there is we're looking at the market sales. And this is a really great chart that shows the calendar 19 average sale price in that red line. And it's comparing it to the calendar 2021 average sale prices. And you can just see this sort of spread out over the price ranges.
Any questions from anyone else? Please feel free, raise your hand if you have questions on the screen. That's how I learn. I gotta do it right there, but if folks want to just wait till then, that's fine too.
Will there be a slide about new growth?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
no, it's not.
I don't know if specifically a new growth number, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay, so we're gonna need a new growth number. If you could send it to the council and the tax rate committee, because I do want everybody to be fully informed or aware of where the numbers come from. And so, I'm sorry, Diana, and for Ms. Ruth Ann, if you want to be heard by the chair, just use your hand. That's okay. You're new. It's okay. And then we'll call on you that way. So I'm gonna go to Freddie because I see his hand up.
Yeah, hi. Question: when you say the average calendar sales price, for example, I'm going to use 2022 as an example because we'll be talking about this next year. Is we had a 9-month in a row drop right after one of the hottest real estate markets ever. So how do you actually say the calendar year? What is your formula to come up with that calendar year value? And is there any specific dates and times that you're using to come up with that analysis?
Sure. So for fiscal 23, the assessment date is January 1st of 2022. So in order to determine what the values are, we're looking at comparable sales for calendar 21. Calendar 22 sales we'll look at for next fiscal year. So the assessors were always a year behind.
So next year, the values are gonna drop.
Well, we've still had a very strong market for most of calendar 2022. So we're obviously still have a few weeks left here in calendar 22. But we will be looking at 2 years of calendar 21 and 22 sales for fiscal 24.
Freddie, you have any more questions?
Not specifically. I guess I'd like to see maybe if we can have some samples, maybe you can give some samples and say this property, just give, I don't know, some sort of samples, a sample list and say these are the properties that went up, et cetera. I think that'll give us a better point of view.
Well, we have an entire sales file as well of every single arm's length sale that goes into all of our valuation work.
I have no idea what arm's length is.
Arm's length is just a valid sale. So a short sale would be court ordered or family sale, an estate sale, something like that. An arm's length would generally be marketed and sold through MLS.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you for the explanation. Freddie, you all set?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll proceed. Thank you.
So here's an average single family home tax history. And you'll see in 2023, the value did increase a little over 16%. In 2022, the average value was 185,100. And in 2023, it's 215,700. We don't have a recommended rate yet. So we're not able to fill in the rest of the chart for tonight, but we certainly should for the meeting on Monday.
This is just the residential, okay. All right.
Correct.
Okay.
So the residential tax factor, again, it's to set the tax burden to be borne by each class of property. It also sets the tax rates for residential and the commercial, industrial, and personal property tax rates. One of the options we have as a city is to shift the tax burden. For fiscal 23, I just put as a point of reference, if we were a single rate community, we would be $21.52 for both the residential and the commercial tax rate. And our options that we have, we can go up to a max of a 1.75 shift. And I'll kind of show you what that means in the next couple of slides.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the showing basically the shift. So the chart on the left is the total full and fair cash value of the commercial, industrial, and personal property versus the residential. And you'll see that it's 24% versus 76%. But by shifting the tax burden, the commercial, industrial, and personal property actually pays 40% of the levy versus 60%. And this information is based on fiscal 22. So this was last year's shift.
So basically what you're saying, although they only have 25% of the property, 24% of the property, they're paying 40% of the tax levy burden. So 40% of the property tax that we have to collect.
Sorry, I missed that. I'm sorry.
So although their residential property, their commercial property only make up 24% of what the value
of the total. Yes, exactly.
They're paying 40%.
Correct.
Okay.
That was
of what we have to raise in property tax.
And that was the fiscal 22. And as a point of clarification to your other question, the CIP total value for fiscal 23 is just under 2.6 billion. So we got 2.4 for 22. It's just under 0.6. So there was a value increase in the CIP. It was just a mistake on the slide.
Oh, okay, okay, so 2.6, okay,
Just under, yeah, 2.5.
okay. All right. Mhm.
This is showing our shift over the last few years. And last year we did end at a 1.644.
Explain that 1.644, please. And Diana also has a question after you explain that 1.644.
Sure. So essentially what it is we're looking at what the levied CIP amount percent is and divide that by the actual CIP full and fair cash value total. So in this case, it was the 40% divided by the 24%, which gets us to the 1.644. So that's the formula that goes behind it. What it actually represents is how much we are actually shifting from the residential to the commercial.
Okay. Diana?
Will we be able to get copies of all these slides before the
Yes.
next meeting? Okay.
I will send these out tomorrow morning, and including you'll see an options table in a moment.
Okay, and and are you gonna work on getting us the number for new growth as well?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Here's the shift just among the local communities. So you see Chicopee is at their max shift. West Springfield is at a 1.52. Again, we're at the 1.64.
Okay.
So this is a reduction in the levy. So the mayor has committed to using $10 million to reduce the levy. The plan is to use $6.5 million from the Eversource payment, which was from all of the back taxes that were owed in the litigation. And then there was a prior commitment of $3.5 million to reduce the levy. So we have to use a constant to sort of talk about what the impact of using free cash is. So in this case, we're going to use the same shift, that 1.644. If we stuck with the $3.5 million reduction, which was committed to previously, that would be a $360 increase in the average single family tax bill. But using the $10 million reduction in the levy, it would be an average increase of $261. Again, that's at the same shift. At this point, go ahead.
The mayor already used 3.5 million in FY22.
No, Tracy, this is TJ. We committed to the 3.5 through the series of actions of the past 2 years. And the mayor added 6.5 million that he's going to commit to it to get a full 10 million to reduce the taxes.
That's exactly what I asked for. Thanks. Okay, keep going. But the average bill will still increase by $261.
So we haven't made a recommendation yet as for a rate or a shift.
Okay.
So I just use this as an example because that recommendation hasn't been made. So the constant here is the shift. So if we use the same shift in fiscal 22 and in fiscal 23, this would be the result.
But we're not necessarily committed to the same shift. We're looking at other options to further bring down the numbers. So
Yeah.
that decision will be made. The mayor should be making a recommendation on Monday before the next Tuesday's meeting.
Goodness gracious. I can't do it to the people. Okay. Diana,
Do
sorry.
you have a slide on all of this same with the commercial, industrial, and personal property?
We don't. So one of the issues, of course, is using just kind of an average for commercial properties is very difficult. We certainly can if that would be a request of the committee, but the commercial properties are so wildly different from a small shop to a relatively large commercial complex. So it's a little difficult.
Yeah, and I think every time we get a new person, they ask the same question. And we get the same answer. Yep. Freddie.
I ask this question every year. I'm gonna ask it again just so it can be heard. Is there any plans of shifting what MGM is supposed to pay in taxes to this fund so that we can provide some relief to the taxpayers in the city?
So right now, Freddie, thank you for the question. Right now, we are looking to do a home rule petition that allows us to extend exemptions. I guess I'll let you use the technical word, but which would be tied to MGM revenue. We haven't had a chance to get that home rule filed because the legislative session ran out, and now we're going to get it filed in January as yet one more thing to try to bring additional relief to some taxpayers that qualify. In addition to that, we're also going to be looking for those who still feel an increase on their tax bill and it's still a burden. We cannot reduce the taxes, but we're going to also give money for rental, mortgage, and utility assistance again for those that are in need of it. We'll be coming to the council for an appropriation for that as well.
Is that income based or need based?
It's income based. I guess Patrick, you want to talk about the kind of overall concept of.
Sure. So this $10 million is a reduction in the levy as a total, so it does help all of the taxpayers. The next slide, I just really wanted to highlight some personal exemptions, and part of that would be the legislation as well. Just as a kind of a reminder for everyone, we do have some personal exemptions where there are income and asset restrictions. One of them is a 41C. And the city council and the mayor, they they basically increased the eligibility for fiscal 23. And they did that by reducing the age of people who qualify from 70 to 65. We've also adopted a cost of living adjustment that this is going to change annually going forward. And it's going to, hopefully sort of keep up with a little bit of inflation. We've also increased the tax exemption amount from 500 to 1,000. Now, what the home rule petition would do would basically take this same program and expand it to anyone who's under the age of 65, but who meet the same eligibility requirements. It's always important to kind of remind people of veterans with a disability rating of 10% or more. They can also obtain a personal exemption. And for someone who's over 70 or a widow or a minor, there is an asset restriction to this, but they can also get a personal exemption or reduction off of their taxes. And for someone who is blind with a certificate of blindness, they can also earn an exemption.
Thank you, and I appreciate the wording, the mayor and the city council, because we do try to work together and give advice or suggestions when we can, just have a conversation. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I like these exemptions as well.
City of Springfield, just sort of tax levy history and some facts. Through fiscal 22, we will incorporate fiscal 23 once a recommendation is put out there.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry.
It's a whole year before you see it again. So just trying to look at the numbers real quick. Okay, thanks.
And this is just in conclusion, we would like to have a residential factor on or before December 1st. The state is to meet a deadline required to timely generate third quarter tax bills. And it is based on an assumption that DOR will certify our tax rates by December 6th. Again, the residential factor sets the tax rates, and it is essential that DOR must certify these rates as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, with that, I'm gonna pull up two different, options tables. So, counselors, this is what you've kind of seen before. The first one is just the levy, but with the $3.5 million reduction. And this is really hard to see. I'm sorry. I will definitely send this out tomorrow morning. So this is showing essentially the same shift as what's highlighted in yellow. So with the levy,
This can't get like one size bigger.
I can try.
Oh, that's smaller.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no, you gotta go back. Okay.
is that readable or no? Not at all.
I mean, it's readable. It's a little bit better than the last one, so
Right there, no, down, right there.
can you scroll it up to show us what's at the top? Yeah. And
Yeah.
then- okay.
Oh, everything's back. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. The values increase so much. Matt updated that really quick already. Oh, I'm waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, so essentially, if we stayed at the same shift, the average tax bill would go up by $360. That's at $3.5 million of levy reduction. The next option table is the $10 million of levy reduction.
Okay.
And using the same shift, we are at it would be a $261 increase. But also here, the overall tax rates would go down as well.
So can you go back up to the top? The
Yep.
rates are gonna go down, the bills are gonna go up. People are only gonna see bills are going up. They don't care about the rate. The residential value, so do we always have to levy to our ceiling? Or can we do a lesser levy for this year?
Yeah, we're actually there's a lot of gap between the levy ceiling and the levy.
It's still a lot?
Right, so the levy ceiling is this 281. The 252 is the levy limit.
Oh, okay. But if we didn't have that free cash, we would be at the levy limit. And I guess I'm asking, do we always have to levy to the limit? Can our levy amount be less?
To the extent that we want the revenue to support services, we would levy to the limit just so we could keep the capacity growing every year. We're up to 2.5% through Proposition 2.5.
So property, so what was the value that was in the budget that we had to meet with property tax?
It's 245.8 million for minus new growth, and then we estimated new growth at 4.2 million, but we don't know that until DOR certifies it, for a total levy of 250 million.
So we have to go at least to 250.
Correct. To buy what the budget bought, we had to go to 250. What the thought process is on the 10 million or 3.5 plus 6.5 for a total of 10. Money going to mortgage assistance, utility assistance, and rental assistance, and the home rule petition, and changing the ages, that this is the best package we could do that's still fiscally responsible and financially responsible for bond rating agencies, for Wall Street, and for making sure that we keep ourselves set up for a potential recession.
Yeah, recession is coming. We might lose the 10 million, and then where will we be? Then where will we be? But
so when we were sitting down looking at these numbers as a team, we realized that $360 average increase is not something that we want to put onto our residential taxpayers. And so we brainstormed and kind of came up with a whole set of options and other ways to bring taxes down and to help our residents. And the 10 million was kind of the sweet spot where we were in terms of, let's do this and bring it down from 360 to something a lot less than 360 for the average. I mean, there still will be bills that will go up, still will be bills that will go down, but the average will be going up much less than the anticipated 360 as it exists today.
yeah, still 240 is a lot when it's consistently been going up.
240 or 260 is not the number I don't think we'll settle on.
Okay.
We're going to settle on something different because we can technically, the councils can technically choose anything that's on this list, right?
That's correct.
So you guys can choose anything on this list that makes sense as the body. The mayor on Monday is going to make a recommendation of what he thinks makes the most sense from his perspective. And then the council on your meeting, when you set the rate, can take it, leave it, do something different, tinker with it, and do whatever the council seems to think might make more sense.
Yeah, it'd be good to have these slides so we can, because we only got a short window to look at the numbers and things like that. But I like the services. The only thing about the services is not universal. It doesn't apply to everyone. And just because you're not in the income bracket or you're just over it doesn't mean that you're not struggling.
Yeah, well, that tough part about that one is, like, even with the home rule, like, we wanted to do something outside of the exemption process, but DOR wouldn't let us. They said we had
to send us some reasons, because we got to start advocating and lobbying for ourselves on what makes the most sense for our residents. That's what we're supposed to do in government. So all rules can be changed even on the DOR level. But right now, I understand you can't.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, if we could get the home rule legislation allows us to be a little bit different, that would be one thing. But we also have to think about implementation and monitoring and managing of the program. I don't know if we could do a program with exemptions with it being, I don't make up a number, 50,000 for the under 65 and 35,000. It became a logistical nightmare when we kind of talked about it and talked it through with DOR. Having said that, the cost of livings are the important piece because that kind of keeps it moving. But no, we recognize that the challenge that our residents have and the bills and everything. We know inflation's no joke. You can see it everywhere you go between gas and groceries. We're going to do whatever we can and still maintain the fiscal stewardship of trying to keep us going through the recession that we think we'll be able to weather with reserves and other funding sources.
I wish there was more of a period where we could get some input from the community, because then you can hear the real stories on what people can do, can't do, can afford. I mean, I remember Councilor Hurst before mentioning kind of like shifting, like if we're willing, shifting some of the burden to, those who can afford it or don't mind, I don't know. But it hurts right now. I want you guys to know it hurts right now because
that's not lost on us, Councilor.
And hopefully we can work together and come to something together I just want to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, finish what you were saying.
Oh, did you want to speak, Ms. McCann? I was done.
I had a question. I know nonprofits are tax exempt. I can understand some of the smaller ones, but why don't some of the especially the private ones, pay something? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. I love AIC. I'm sandwiched between AIC and Springfield College, but AIC is buying up a lot of properties. I'm assuming, now I may be wrong, I'm assuming that every time a piece of property is sold to a nonprofit, that means the burden of the taxes for the city of Springfield are shared with less residents and businesses. So that puts more burden on the residents. Why can't some of these nonprofits assume some of that burden as well?
So that is an excellent question on that. This is something that I've been working on for the 15 years I've been here, is trying to get payment in lieu of taxes from our larger nonprofits. As you can imagine, it doesn't, they don't have to pay it, so it's tough to force them to pay, a tax bill. We presented them with the services that they've cost the city to maintaining roads and police, fire, other services that the city get. We don't get anywhere. For a little while, there was some legislative grumblings that they might do something statewide that allows cities and towns to just automatically tax a certain percentage of larger nonprofits. It didn't end up getting anywhere the last two legislative sessions, but it is something we're hopeful, because we don't have much teeth to get them, to force them to pay. And I've convened meetings. I've had so many interactions where we just don't get what the fair value from them of what they use in our city services. And you're right, it does pass the burden on to the other taxpayers.
Well, I can help you. I have teeth and I don't mind biting.
I got teeth. I like teeth, people. Yes.
Call
So,
me
yeah,
anytime.
TJ is telling the truth, because I was there when we first started talking about pilots, and you can't make them pay, and that's the problem. But what we can do is stop making sure they have access to the properties that they're buying up. I mean, we do have some control over that. And I think that is a great point, Ms. Ruth Ann.
Yeah, but by the time anybody hears about them buying property, they've already bought it.
They got it. It's already in an agreement, and I don't know how those agreements are made all the time, but you're right. So I want to give.
I know one way they do it. They go out and they actually knock on doors.
Okay. I just want to give counselors a moment to take the floor and ask questions that you all might have.
I'm all set. If we can just get the slides, that'd be greatly appreciated, Madam Chair.
Okay, that'd be greatly appreciated. And Patrick said you'll send them sometime tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Right. Okay. You can, it doesn't have to be like 8 or 9.
Well, I will say.
By 11:59.
I like to test all of the factors that are on anything that I present, and unfortunately, the website was down today, so I haven't been able to test those. So I hope to get that done tomorrow morning before I send it out. But for that, I can send it out first thing.
We appreciate you guys' work. Definitely. I know you're working hard and doing what you can within the rules and the guidelines, because they don't change year over year. But definitely it's time for us to make some changes. All right. Does anybody else have questions? Diane, Freddie?
Tracy, I don't have any specific questions, but good meeting. And, we just have to relearn this stuff every year, once a year. The terms come up again. For those of you who are in your first year doing this, it's do your best. But even if you've been in your 10th year, whatever I am, it's, you still have to relearn it every year a little. So look forward to the slides coming out and having a chance to discuss this outside of the meeting.
Yeah, you can always call your brother and ask questions.
I got his.
Oh, your brother. Thank you, Councilor.
We're happy to meet with any counselors or anybody really who has questions about it. The door's open, so I know Patrick's contacting the counselor, so we're here.
We appreciate that. We
What is
do.
the-
I think it would be great for Diana and Miss Ruth Ann to actually talk to you guys. So they can ask real personal questions of, just to learn it about what they want to know, because they're both newer, and I think that'd be a great opportunity. So is there a number you can throw in the chat? Or we don't do that as city council? Subcommittees.
So we have another meeting, just in terms of the schedule, we have a meeting Monday.
Monday.
Okay, but yeah, they
Oh,
Monday so soon. Then it's the holiday, huh? Well, maybe they can try you early in the daytime on Monday.
And when are we voting?
That'll be Wednesday. And then Thursday if we need a second.
So Monday's meeting is a follow-up to this.
Yes.
Further discussion, better questions, whatever.
Right.
And then Wednesday is a separate meeting to vote.
Yeah, there'll be a public hearing. I don't remember the time, but that's scheduled for a half hour and then, yeah,
5:30. Yeah,
after vote.
Okay.
they sent us all the dates and times. Thank you, Counselor Allen, for saying that. We do have to relearn it every year. It's a lot of information. Diana?
No, I just wanted, this was really fascinating. I appreciate, being included in this discussion. It's not completely foreign to me. I'm the chair of the select board in my community. However, we have a single tax rate. So I go through the process, but not on the split. So this is really fascinating. And I guess I would just, of course, I'm here to advocate for our businesses. So the same, the same challenges that our businesses are facing right now, inflation and fuel prices, and that our residents are facing, our businesses are facing as well. So I hope we can, take that into consideration when we consider this split and how important the businesses are, to the economic vitality of Springfield and really the whole region. Springfield is the economic engine of Western Mass. So and all the jobs provided and all of that. So just my little plug for the business community.
Hey, get that plug in, Diana. We gotta represent who we're representing. I'm in the small business world now too, so it definitely is important to keep them around and viable and building our economic vitality. So that is true. But I don't think we have any more questions, and it is 5:16 on a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So since we have nothing else, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting. And please, Diana and Ms. Ruth Ann, get in touch with Patrick or Matt or Jessica about the information, because I think it'll help you even more. Diana, I didn't know you were the town select person, but it'll definitely help you more, Ms. Ruth Ann, at the next meeting. So,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And I'll be calling too, guys. I'll be calling, see if we can work something out together. Yeah, Monday morning.